Today I'm going to share my side of the story, why Hario Switch is popular and Hario brand in general. In my opinion, it is a very outdated brand, which ruined their reputation by making a terrible coffee grinders and pretty awful V60 brewers, with the ribs which are very hard to clean. So problems aside, Hario is a huge brand, and it's invested a lot in coffee competitions, meaning they invested in marketing, because coffee competitions, they don't care about it. Because this is why competitions exist in the first place, to promote brands. And because it's old Japanese company, it is very slow in innovations. That's why their grinders still available, but the story is changing because the competition is growing. Brands around the world making super innovative brewers, which almost ended the story of Hario. Until now, because now they seem to hire some designer or something. Anyways, Tetsu Kasuya promotes their products. And for me it's a funny story. I don't think it was like this, but sure it is pretty close. So Hario was like, Tetsu, look, we have a new brewer, we need to promote it. And Tetsu like, what is this? Hario Switch? What? Why? You can brew brewer with a kettle. Why would you do immersion? And they will be like, we've invested millions in this already, you should do something about it. Can you please use switch function? And he's like, no. Why? It will not add flavor to the coffee. Brewer is already great, you know? And they're like, maybe you can use it just a little bit. And he's like, okay, fine. So he made a recipe which called God's recipe or devil's recipe, so it's like super popular methods nowadays, and people buying this brewer just because of this recipe, which is trash, because the recipe is overcomplicated and you probably will not use it. And in this video I will show you two recipes which are actually good and actually simple and practical and like intended to be used by this brewer. So they are really immersion and not immersion for no reason. He used a switch like for 15 seconds, 30 maybe. That's very weird. Anyways, he made this recipe and people started to use it, started to bring it to the championships again, and this brewer became popular, and now they have ceramic version as well. And now you need to spend money on new brewer, because it's popular, right? Of course not, I will not do this, because the only reason to buy this brewer is if you don't have a kettle, goose-neck kettle. And even in such case, I would choose Clever Dripper, because it is easier, more stable and more flavorful. And they also have glass version, if you don't like Triton. So that's quite unconventional and long intro. Let's begin watching the video. 3 recipes and overview. Here is a genius recipe for Hario Switch. We're gonna need 24 grams of coffee and 400 grams of water, 93 degrees Celsius, for room temperature 19 degrees. Usually it works. We're gonna brew light roast coffee here. Lift the switch and fill it with 250 grams of water. Let it sit for 2 minutes and drain. And the moment when you see that the water is almost gone, close the switch. Add the rest of the water to fill up to 400 grams of water, mix well for around 10 times, we just need to get rid of coffee from the sides, and open the switch. And your coffee is ready under 4 minutes, usually. As for the grind size, here we use very small one, 2.3 on Kino M47 and lower. It will give you around 135 TDS and higher. If you use Commodate C40, it's like 12-14 clicks. So it's very small. In terms of microns, it's like 400 microns or something like this. Anyways, it's a starting point. You will need to adjust it for every coffee and for your taste preference. The coffee will be balanced and light. Don't expect heavy cup from this recipe. Try it, and don't waste your coffee on non-genius recipes. By the way, as an alternative, you can always use hybrid flow here, which is way more predictable and very flexible. Because you don't need to think about the dose of coffee, you're not limited here. You can brew 10 grams, 30 grams, doesn't matter, it will work. Or you can just use this genius recipe. Effortless recipe for Hario Switch. 24 grams of coffee and 400 grams of water. Water temperature 93 degrees Celsius or 199 F. If using Comandante, use 13 clicks and lower. For Kino M47, use 2.1 and slightly lower if you wish. Add the coffee, pour 200 grams of water in the center. It's important. At 1 minute, open the switch, then close at 1:20. Pour 200 grams of water in the center and open the switch at 2 minutes. This recipe will give you a similar flavor profile as with the Tetsukasuya World Brewers Cup Champions of like this. You know, his devil's recipe, super complicated one. It will have medium acidity, medium-high body and medium-high aftertaste, and slightly dusty. But at least it's effortless. Adjust the grind size so that you have a great body in the beverage, and pretty solid aftertaste. If it's watery, you definitely need to decrease the grind size. Is there something special in Hario Switch, or people just being foolish by the marketing? The main feature here is an ability to make contact with water as long as we want, and then open the valve to drain it, which is convenient. Such a process of brewing is called immersion, and it has a couple of benefits over regular brewer. There is more predictability, but most importantly, you don't even need a goose-neck kettle, which is pricey. Overall, think of it as an advanced French press. Apart from the kettle, we have flexibility when it comes to the grind size. In brewer, if we don't have a correct grind size, the cup will be bad, because water could flow through coffee too fast or too slow. While here, the contact time is not a problem. You can easily use bigger grind size, which will result in a cleaner cup, but still a nicely brewed one. And you can use it as a regular brewer if you wish, or as a hybrid. But unlike other immersion brewers, Hario Switch has one measure flow, temperature. When you fill it with boiling water, it drops it to 85 degrees Celsius right away. And the original version was made out of glass, and it was impossible to preheat. And I personally think that preheating is extremely wasteful, so I ignore it even with this newer ceramic version. The water temperature will be even lower at the bottom, because here we have less water and more material to heat up, and cold stainless steel bowl. But anyway, coffee will float, so only upper layer is important for us. It will be fine with medium roast or dark roast coffee, but for light roast it could be somewhat challenging. Anyway, coffee will be drinkable. Here is the recipe. Add 15 grams of coffee, 250 grams of water and let it sit for 2 minutes. Mix and drain. The result will be more rounded and smooth than in a regular brewer. While at the same time not heavy, there will be enough body to enjoy it. For some coffee it is extremely pleasant. And it's for sure one of the best ways to start drinking light roast coffee, because of the roundness. While regular brewer will give you a more sharp and crisp flavor. So it definitely can be used as a second brewer, just in case you need that mellow flavor. Today I'm comparing Hario Switch versus Clever Dripper. At first I will compare them using proper water temperature, 93 degrees Celsius. But then I will simulate a real-world example by using boiling water. I've used Clever Dripper with the maximum dose, which is around 500 grams of water, and never less. So it will be definitely interesting to revisit. The only difference is the paper filters. In Hario we have standard filters, which is not the best. And in Clever Dripper I use Café Cabaca. The brewing is simple. I'm filling it with water, let it stay for 2 minutes, mix and drain. Total brewing time turns to be the same. So it's a very fair comparison. What I perceived in the first cup, which is Clever Dripper, is a lot of berries. Clean, crisp. The flavor was just incredible. This washed process Burundi has a medium acidity and lots of refreshment and flavor. When trying Hario Switch, it was more rounded, somewhat more compressed, flat-ish, but still nice, very nice. In fact, the difference is not that huge, but the second try revealed something very interesting. I found apple flavor in Clever Dripper. As for the Hario Switch, it had more rounded and mellow flavor. Yes, it is nice, you probably will not notice the difference, unless you try it side by side. So they both great. Even though there was a hint of drying in aftertaste in Hario Switch. The next is 100 degrees Celsius, boiling water. Everything is the same, but I decided to fill the Hario Switch first, because maybe temperature of water in the kettle is not that even, maybe it's not that fair. So I filled it first. The coffee was great, both of them. Really, you will not feel the difference unless you try 93 degrees Celsius. I still choose Clever Dripper, and the most important part, you can brew more coffee here with just one pour, way less interactions. But my colleague in roastery tried it and he favored Hario Switch because of its mellow flavor, so it wasn't that crisp. He prefers such cup, and I'm okay with that. So as you can see, it's probably better to have both because of their difference in flavor. Thanks for watching, see ya.